we're on the final day of the trial. I don't know if we've got investigation to do before that, or I think we did the investigations. Or maybe we didn't. No, I think we finished with day 2 of the trial, didn't we? Or maybe not. We'll find out. I don't remember where we were. This game, wow. It was getting very deep. Going very good here, thank you. Objection! Wait till court. Objection overruled. I'm doing good, thank you very much. Big news, you can now buy subs. Woot! Awesome, I'm glad you got things sorted out there. Excellent news, Erikai. Okay, so I think we did just come out of court, didn't we? Yes. And we learned all about the fact that... That's it. We learned about the fact that Lana's sister, Ema, witnessed... well, thought she'd witnessed a murder, but it turns out she actually committed the murder of the old district attorney. The old, like, prosecutor. Well, not old, he was young, but you know what I mean. Marshall, Neil Marshall. So he died because of her, because she pushed him in the dark and he skewered himself on a statue. And I think Gant, the chief, has been using that as leverage over Lana Sky ever since. That's why he kept that piece of the vase, and that's why he kept fingerprints on a cloth. I don't know how they got there, like what was that from? But maybe that was from his, like, jacket or something, because the guy wore like a leather jacket type thing. Maybe it was from the jacket because it looked like a piece of leather cloth and it had Ema's fingerprints on it. So these are all potential evidence if ever Lana steps out of line. So yeah, but we're still kind of digging deep into the SL9 incident and what really went on there. We do know now what the fabricated evidence was. It was the whole witness to the murder, but it was wrong. So let's carry on. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Here he comes. Good old Gumshoe. Gumshoe's not... Go away. Leave me alone. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, poor Gumshoe. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? Please come back and annoy Edgeworth some more. You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. Whoa, yeah, I mean, you know, we wouldn't want you to strain yourself while you're working. And on top of it, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Wait, he's fired though, isn't he now? That was right, he got fired because he led us into Gant's office. So you're not a detective anymore. I take it Lana's having you run errands again? Let me tell you this. This is the last time, pal. Evidence law. What the hell? She asked me here to give you this as if it was a break in today's trial. Okay. She's giving us what looks like an evidence law for dummies guide. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. Yeah, because they have like rules about how evidence gets used. Rules that they seem to just ignore whenever it suits them. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. Yes, you should. You're a lawyer. Chief Prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him? Question, your Monhan weapon is a battle axe, has 2 sides, or is it a typical shaped axe? I was just saying I've switched weapons now. I'm using something called the Insect Glaive. The axe that I was using is called the Charge Axe, if you want to look it up online. And it's like a one-sided axe, but I think there are different designs. Maybe they look different with different materials. But it's like a big, long, huge, thick frame with an axe head on it, but then it transforms so that the axe head rolls down to the bottom and reveals a sharp point that becomes a sword. So that's a little complicated. I guess I'll need to give this book a good thorough read-through. Evidence law securely slipped into pocket. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good, though. All that's left now is the Chief Prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in the prosecutor's seat, despite all the allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth. The real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Ema Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal! You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. This is what we theorized before. The whole thing with Lana Skye being seen stabbing the detective. I thought she was taking the knife out, and this was a mistaken, you know, thing by the witness, because she said she saw him stabbing over and over. I thought, so she saw the knife come out. So she must have thought it went in multiple times in the same spot, but it was one stab wound. So she took the murder knife out from the SL9 case, the old case, that was used to kill him in the evidence room, and swap it with a different knife, because that would incriminate the fact that the killing was done at the evidence locker. And somehow she was using Edgeworth's knife, like she thought maybe that was a good idea, or that was the only thing to hand. I don't know. We're not entirely sure yet. But that's what Angel Starr saw, the witness. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. You missed the answer because Twitch was being a female dog. Okay, my axe is not a double-sided axe. It's got a very wide blade down the shaft, and then there's like an axe across the top, like a very squared-off piece of an axe on one side. But then that transforms into a sword, because that other piece rolls down out of the way, and underneath is an actual sword blade. So you can use it as a great sword as well. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honour. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honour. Yes, well, he's just like, cool, thanks. Normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, cough cough. This isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witness. I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone's been talking and... Very well, Your Honour. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defence to call forth a further witness. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defence accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defence may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright. You do realise this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. Oh god, we've got to pick a witness. Defence calls. Bring out the real murderer. Well, obviously it's Damon Gant, isn't it? There's no point talking to any of them. Yeah, I call to the stand Bruce Goodman, the corpse. Bring him in. Just about everybody else apart from Gumshoe has taken the stand, and I don't think it's Gumshoe. He's too clueless in this whole affair. The only person who's been manoeuvring around has been this guy. It's going to be Damon Gant. You've got class to go to, King Pulsar. No problem. Thank you for coming in at the beginning, though. I appreciate that. I hope to see you again later. Yep. We'll be on till 8 PM UK time, so, you know, do drop back in and check on if you get out of class early enough. Take care of yourself. Have a good evening. Have a good day, evening, afternoon. All of it. I hope it's all good. Alright, Damon Gant. The defence calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. You would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? How so? We actually should probably look at the evidence law book as well first. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Yeah. That's what we found out earlier. Now we have this so that we can just point to it, I guess. That's going to become usable at some point. He's going to try and deny evidence. And we can use maybe rule number 2 to get around that. Because being the police department, he has to approve the evidence. And he's not going to approve anything that incriminates him, right? Do we know what the whole evidence list was? We can't even look at the evidence list. But that's the piece of cloth from with Ema Sky's prints on. And I think it's from his waistcoat. Because she would have pushed him. And her fingerprints would have gotten on there. So, yeah. Playing this part with me, so guide me, Mentor Matt. You finished the last one before I did. You don't need no guidance. You're good at this on your own. You're ready to face the world. Spread your wings. Alright, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. He always looks so gomeless as looking at his fringe like, I have hair still. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, huh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests you to hear your testimony. Oh, righto, what's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean the time when Lana's sister murdered the prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. My volume's a bit too high. Yeah, I can barely hear myself talking. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Like, why was evidence suppressed? Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure, take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? That true? No, it's not, because he's in court. You have the right to remain silent while you're under arrest, but once you've been arraigned and charged and thrown into court, you have to talk, or you are in contempt. Unless this is just him, the chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. So we're still working on the SL9 incident. We've got to work on that to prove that Lana Skye didn't do anything. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. They were talking about Mr. Dark, the serial killer. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she'd already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. But who threw the jug? Is that when Dark was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. That's when Ema pushed who she thought was Mr. Dark. When Ema sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head on the vase. That's the broken vase. I see, everything seems pretty clear-cut. Police chief has the right to refuse to testify, and I'd better hit him hard and fast. Alright, let's cross-examine. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right, I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana Skye also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. Make a long story short, we slipped up. How did you slip up? What do they mean we slipped up? So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first, so Neil and I split up. He went upstairs, I went downstairs, I guess you could say. He got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. But you weren't in the elevator, right? I would have assumed you took the stairs. Because Dark was in the elevator. Unless they've got multiple elevators. Probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and the serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head when he was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Ema. Lana was cradling Ema in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. So she'd already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body, it had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk, that's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armour that really stabbed the prosecutor. And of course he would say that he didn't realise this at the time, we've only figured it out now. Yes. Anyway, as you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at the office. That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable, no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witnesses won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. Yeah. If you're going to stare at anything, you're better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth killer. But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. I think the piece of the jug. Yeah, because the rest of it was in the evidence locker, apart from one piece that was in his safe. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. Let's see what the record says. That was found in his safe as well. We don't have the piece of the jug anymore, but I think either one of them could be used. Final fragment found in Chief Gant's safe. Ema is written on the surface in blood. You know what's interesting to me? I've just realised something. That jar would have needed to have been in one piece in order for Neil Marshall to have written Ema on it. But we're assuming the jar was broken when it hit Dark on the head, the serial killer. And that's what knocked him out. So how did that happen? That's still a problem. I think either one of these pieces is going to tie him. I'm going to try the piece of cloth first. He hid evidence, which which means he knew exactly what it meant. I think we have to object to this by presenting the cloth. Fingers crossed. If you really had nothing to do with the forgery, then how do you explain this? What's that? And what's that on it, a handprint? Chief Gant, your explanation, please. So mesmerized by his own hairdo. I don't know, you tell me, son. Huh? My dear Wrighto, don't you know the second rule of evidence law? It must be relevant to the case. And it is, because it's got Ema's fingerprints on it. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case. That helped you? Oh, well then, there you go. Tell me, how is that rag relevant to the trial? It appears the defense was not prepared. Guess it's too early to use this piece of evidence. Please accept my profound apologies, Chief. Would you mind giving the defense another chance? Well, okay. I'll do just about this one, but only because you asked, Angie. Thank you. I assure you the defense is terribly sorry. Yes, sorry I didn't nail you. Alright, so that wasn't the right one. This is the one we need to object to, for sure. So maybe it's not that, maybe it is the jar. Maybe we had to show both. You claim you have nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's the blue badger you showed us earlier. Because they thought it was the blue badger's head. But it was really the jar, as it was viewed at an angle. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Why would he have them otherwise? Because the jar, he knew that had Ema's name on it. So the piece he kept shows that he already knew that. But he's saying he had nothing to do with the forgery, but he knew the truth to begin with. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Wrighto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy? Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Yes, well, in the light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. I put a whole jug together, does that count? Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? I know, poor Gumshoe. For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Well, it does. You were able to blackmail Lana with her sister's freedom, and manipulate the prosecutor's office to continue forging evidence in the future. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. When investigating the crime scene, You should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand I am the Chief of Police, right? There will be consequences. Ugh. Indeed, I believe I will press charges so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief. Would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Alright, Oji. In return, though, I know. That place, right? You owe me a meal. Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? Alright. For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. I'd appreciate it if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day I broke into... Oh, God. Don't... What are you doing, Phoenix? Judge, what are you doing with Chief Gant? I think they were on about he owes him a drink or something at the bar. As a favour. I'll have you know, back in the day I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped... Mr. Wright, what are you saying? Nothing. Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Raito's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. What, we already just said we pulled these out of your safe. Of course you'll find prints in them. Never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. Can we prove when... That, I think this is the one we have to object to. When they were found? I bet it's on the evidence list. It'll be on the half that he kept. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery, I'm not through speaking yet, Raito. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. Yeah, but it also means why would you even keep those pieces? There's still an intent there. If they were found after Dart was convicted, they're worthless. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. Okay, well that's answered that question. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The Chief is talking about a possibility so long as you can't rule that out. Your remarks, however clear they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know. Come now, Raito, think about it. No reason I'd participate in a forgery. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? I'm not sure I care for the word murdered here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Ima Sky. Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. We don't have anything that would point to that, there's just speculation. We need evidence for that. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all of this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What are the benefits of being a chief? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That, in itself, is sufficient motive. Oh, that's a good one. Nani? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 nearly sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Ugh. Be careful when pointing that finger or you might wind up being the one pointed at. That only happens when I point at the mirror. But that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Nice one, Edgeworth. Don't be silly, Worthy, you know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for, me, myself, and I. There isn't, there. Isn't out in the open now? Budgie, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do.